On our newscast tonight, anticipation was brimming as to which state-of-the-art fighter jet will be selected to protect the skies of South Korea, a decision that was scheduled to come today. But that decision is put on hold, and the selection process is taken all the way back to square one. On the heels of fresh reports of possible nuclear activity in North Korea earlier this month, U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes says Pyongyang has already developed nuclear arms and conducted tests. And Kenyan officials say the hostage situation at Nairobi shopping center is over, but security forces continue to comb the mall, looking for further threats as the situation remains fluid. Stay with us for more on these stories and others.
It is 5 a.m. in Cincinnati, noon in Nairobi, and 6 on a Tuesday evening here in Seoul. Welcome to Early Edition at 6. I'm Moon Gon-young.
And I'm Daniel Cha. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a surprise in the decision to select a next generation of fighter jets.
방위사업 추진위원회 심의 결과 부결되었습니다.
A final announcement on the winner of Korea's multi-billion-dollar fighter jet deal was initially scheduled to be announced earlier this afternoon, but things have taken an unexpected turn.
Boeing's F-15 Silent Eagle was widely expected to get the nod as it was the only candidate left in the running, but the process has been taken all the way back to square one. Our Defense Ministry correspondent Han Da-eun reports.
To the surprise of many, no final winner was announced for Korea's fighter experimental project, better known as the FX project, that aims to replace the nation's aging fleet of combat aircrafts. After holding a 2-hour-long meeting presided over by Korean Defense Minister Kim Kwon-jin, the Defense Acquisition Program Administration announced Tuesday that the $7.3 billion deal would be relaunched from square one as no contender met the needs of the Korean government and the Korean Air Force. Defense Ministry spokesman Kim Min-seok told reporters immediately after the meeting that Boeing's F-15 Silent Eagle had been the sole candidate because it was the only model that met the Korean government's price range, but said that most of the participating panel voted against the model as Korea's next-generation fighter jet during the meeting. Kim cited North Korea's increasing missile and nuclear threats and the current trend in the global air defense industry that centers around high-tech fighter jets as the main reasons for the decision. Although the F-15 SE has garnered wide acclaim over the years, its limited stealth features have been highlighted as a major weakness. Kim added that the ministry, together with the Defense Acquisition Agency and other related parties, will review the FX deal from the beginning by taking a different approach, one that includes trying to expand the total budget for the project. Officials during the briefing stressed that they'll push through the process promptly in an attempt to fill the air defense vacancy as quickly as possible. It's unclear, however, whether the Korean Air Force will get to deploy new fighter jets by 2017 as scheduled. Han Da-eun, Arirang News.
So as our Han Da-eun just reported, Korea's next-generation fighter jet project has been sent back to square one earlier this afternoon.
Boeing's F-15 Silent Eagle had been the sole candidate to become Korea's next generation of fighter jet, but Lockheed Martin's F-35 and the EADS Eurofighter looks to be on the list again now.
Right, we have Arirang News' Kim Hyun-bin standing by at the news center to give us the details on the surprising announcement and its implications. Good evening to you, Hyun-bin.
Hey guys.
So now, since the other two fighter jets are back in the running, Hyun-bin, can you tell us what each of them bring to the table?
Well, there are pros and cons for each fighter jet. The F-35 is the only jet that has full stealth capabilities among the three. The F-15 SE fits in the budget set by the Defense Acquisition Program Administration, while the Eurofighter promised to jointly manufacture most of its jets in Korea. The F-15 SE is an upgraded version of the F-15K, which the Korean Air Force currently uses, so it fits in well with the Korea-US Combined Forces strategy, and its airstrike capabilities have been proven on the battlefield. The F-15 SE is also considered to have semi-stealth capabilities. But the level of those capabilities has yet to be determined, so there is an unknown there. The EADS Eurofighter has also semi-stealth capabilities, but at a little lower level than the F-15SC. EADS sweetened the deal by promising to invest $2 billion in technology transfer in Korea. And out of the 60 fighter jets that will be manufactured, 53 will be made in Korea, which will create more than 50,000 jobs here in the nation.
Now, Hyun-bin, you mentioned the stealth capabilities. Now, why is it so important for South Korean military to have this stealth-capable fighter jets? For those of us without an in-depth knowledge in aeronautics, what exactly does stealth capability mean?
Well, fighter jets containing full stealth capabilities are better able to dodge radar detection. Take, for example, Lockheed Martin's F-35 in comparison to the F-15. The F-35, which has full stealth, looks 1/100th the size of the F-15 on radar, which of course makes it much harder to detect. And stealth can be used for other purposes as well.
Because stealth is the core technology, core capability we can use as an security strategy to not only just for the North Korean air power, but the neighboring countries' new developments. Chinese and Russians are developing their indigenous stealth fighter jets, and even neighboring Japan has made a contract with the F-35. So the F-35.
It's for this reason that F-15 retired Air Force Chief of Staff sent letters late August to the National Assembly, the Presidential Office, and the Defense Ministry to suggest a reconsideration of the selection criteria, which they felt was too weighted toward price over defense capability. The retired general stressed that out of the three choices, Lockheed Martin's F-35 is a more suitable choice due to its full stealth. With the project now up for grabs, what's now left for the Korean government to do? The South Korean government will go back and look further into the three candidates, try to reduce the asking price and find ways to add features. But experts say the most important thing is to ensure transfer of technology, so Seoul is able to produce state-of-the-art fighter jets out of its own in the future. Even though Boeing promised to transfer technology in the first phase of the fighter jet project, not much information has been transferred.
We cannot depend upon the United States air technology forever. So we need some certain level of technology transfer. The South Korean air industry is not fully satisfied with the level of technology transfer by the Boeing. So I think there is a lot of room should be improved in terms of technology.
The Korean government is currently preparing to launch its fighter jet development project, KFX, whose mission will be to produce advanced multi-role fighter jets. To do so, experts say that the Korean government needs to put more pressure on the three firms to ensure it gets the tech transfer the Korea needs.
Okay, Kim Hyun-bin, and thank you for reporting on that. That was our Kim Hyun-bin reporting live on the fighter jet procurement project going all the way back to square one.
Digging deeper, getting to the bottom of stories that impact your life. Talking with you on air and online. Connecting you with heroes and experts to help you understand the world's most pressing issues. News and current affairs at its best with Moon Gun-young and Daniel Che on Early Edition at 6.
Now shifting gears to the economy, Korean import prices rose by 2 points. Moving on to North Korea-related developments, a high-level U.S. official has, in effect, acknowledged that North Korea has nuclear weapons in its possession and advised that the international community prevent Iran from taking a similar path. The recognition comes as recent satellite images revealed Pyongyang may have conducted a long-range rocket engine test. Arirang News Kim Young-gil has this report.
U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes, on his way to attend the UN General Assembly on Monday, told reporters that North Korea already possesses nuclear weapons. Rhodes pointed out that unlike Iran, Pyongyang has already developed nuclear arms and conducted tests. Because of this, he said it may be easier to handle Iran than North Korea. The senior U.S. official said there are similarities between Pyongyang and Tehran in that both nations have not abided by international non-proliferation norms. Meanwhile, two U.S. experts on nuclear weapons, Joshua Pollack and Scott Kemp, say North Korea has obtained technology to produce crucial components of gas centrifuges to process uranium for making nuclear bombs. They said it could become more difficult to verify regime's nuclear facilities because uranium enrichment facilities are easier to conceal than large reactors used in making plutonium-based bombs. Also, in a flurry of North Korea-related developments, recent satellite imagery shows North Korea may have conducted a long-range rocket engine test late last month at its Dongchangni launch site off the northwest coast. 38 North, a website devoted to analysis of North Korea, said Monday that it had compared two satellite images which appeared to show a probable rocket stage, a crane to mount and remove the rocket engine, and monitoring instruments. Dongchangni was where Pyongyang launched its Eunha-3 long-range rocket last December. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the U.S. deputy spokesperson for the National Security Council told the Seoul-based Yonhap news agency that Washington stands firm on its stance that it will never recognize North Korea as a nuclear weapons state. Now, in a move designed to throw up obstacles for North Korea's nuclear program, China has released a long list of weapons-related technology and goods banned from export to the North. Issued by China's Ministry of Commerce on Tuesday, the list includes dual-use products and technologies that can be used to build nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. The ministry said that the export bans aims to bolster enforcement of UN Security Council resolutions on the North. Beijing has recently taken a tougher stance against Pyongyang, and experts say the announcement of the list can be interpreted as a sign to Washington and the rest of the international community about China's sincerity in meeting its commitments.
Korea's national debt has followed an upward trajectory since the 2008 financial crisis, and now the interest on that debt has reached a point where it could threaten the nation's fiscal soundness. Our Oh Jin-ju has this report.
With Korea's national debt drawing ever nearer to 500 trillion won, that's some $465 billion US dollars, the annual cost of just paying the interest on that debt has also skyrocketed. Data released on Tuesday by Seoul's Finance Ministry and the National Assembly's Strategy and Finance Committee shows that the interest on the government debt for this year has surpassed the 20 trillion won mark, which is around $18.6 billion. This means that every Korean is responsible for over $370 of interest for the government debt. The government spending on interest payments has accounted for only around 6% of its fiscal budget since 2006, but this percentage jumped to 7.7% this year. Experts attribute the increase to a surge in government spending during the global financial crisis. Now, before the 2008 crisis, the country's national debt was on a steady upward trajectory. But the figure began to shoot up in 2009 after the crisis broke, and has continued to go up since then. By the year 2015, the national debt is expected to hit $475 billion. Analysts have voiced concerns that the growing interest payments could eventually push up the government debt again, producing a negative effect on the country's fiscal soundness, and they've called on the government to devise more plans to rein in the national debt. Oh Jin-ju, Arirang News.
Paper or plastic? Korean consumers are reaching for the plastic more and more at checkout lines these days. The Credit Finance Association of Korea said Tuesday that around $42 billion in payments were made by credit and debit cards in August. That's up nearly 8% compared to the same month last year. The rate of increase for debit card payments climbed by 22%, something the nonprofit organization attributes to a governmental measure last month that maintains the rate of tax deductions through debit card payments at 30%. The tax deduction rate for credit cards was lowered to 10%.
Now, we may be seeing a semblance of economic recovery in the Eurozone, but serious doubts do remain about its ability to stay on track. On the positive side, Market Economics Composite Purchasing Managers Index, a gauge of business activity across the Eurozone's manufacturing and service sectors, jumped to an over 2-year high of 52.1 for September. Now, this rise coincided with the Eurozone posting a modest 0.3% expansion in the second quarter after 18 straight months of recession. However, European Central Bank President Mario Draghi was keen to temper optimism on Monday, saying that although a slow recovery is underway, it still needs to be firmly established as unemployment across large parts of Europe is sky high. Meanwhile, a recent influx of foreign capital into Korea has strengthened the country's currency by nearly 9% in the past 3 months alone, prompting the government to issue a warning against volatility in the financial market. Seoul officials say a rapid appreciation of the won could hurt Korean exports. Yoo reports.
The government has strengthened its monitoring of the local financial markets, assigning a major influx of foreign capital that can increase volatility in the economy. With the United States Federal Reserve making clear that it could begin tapering off its stimulus programs later this year, foreign money has been flowing into Korea, which has relatively stronger economic fundamentals than most other developing countries.
So they looked around and they saw Korea as being very attractive because we have relatively stronger fundamentals than India or Indonesia, but we have a slightly higher rate of return than the United States or Europe.
The net inflow of foreign capital in the past month alone topped 8.2 trillion won, or roughly $7.7 billion, pushing the value of the Korean won to the highest level in 8 months on Monday. The Korean currency, which closed at 1,070.4 won to the US dollar on Monday, has gained 8.7% of its value against the greenback in the past 3 months. A high-ranking government official told a meeting with businessmen on Tuesday that given unpredictable changes in global market trends, the sudden influx of foreign capital could mean an abrupt pullout of the money in the future. Even if foreign investors decide to keep their money in the country, experts say a strengthening won could be another problem.
The immediate risk is because all of the capital which is moving in, it's strengthening the won. And that will make our Korean exports uncompetitive.
Experts say until the Fed sends a clearer signal for its monetary policy, Korea is expected to be a better bet for at least weeks to come. But with global investment environment changing rapidly, they say it is important to take precautionary steps to cushion against any future instability. Yoo, Arirang News.
Kenyan officials say that government security forces have taken control of the shopping mall in Nairobi attacked by suspected al-Shabaab militants. Kenya's Interior Ministry says that all hostages have been freed and that security forces are now sweeping the complex to make sure it's clear. At least 68 people died in the 4-day siege and scores of others were injured. A 38-year-old Korean woman, Kang Moon-hee, is among the dead. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned former Soviet bloc countries that the Islamist insurgency in countries like Syria and Afghanistan could spill over into the wider region, and he is urging them to strengthen their borders. Our Kim Ji-yeon reports.
Russian President Vladimir Putin told former Soviet allies that the violence in Syria and Afghanistan could have a direct effect on their interests. At a meeting of the Collective Security Treaty Organization in the port city of Sochi on Monday, Putin said that the problem of terrorism spilling from one country to another is absolutely real and could have a direct effect on their countries, citing the deadly attack in Nairobi as an example. Tajikistan, a CSTO member state, shares a border with Afghanistan, and most members of the regional bloc have large Muslim populations. In response, the CSTO members agreed to come up with a plan to strengthen border security ahead of the planned pullout of foreign troops from Afghanistan scheduled in 2014. Leaders of the CSTO nations also issued a joint statement for the peaceful resolution of the crisis in Syria, saying that foreign military intervention in Syria was unacceptable without the approval of the UN Security Council. Meanwhile, it looks like the Syrian government may be taking steps toward rehabilitating the war-torn country. The pro-government Al-Watan newspaper quoted Syrian Prime Minister al-Khali as saying that the Syrian regime has nearly doubled its 2014 budget for emergency aid and reconstruction, from the current $266 million to $443 million. The clashes between government and rebel forces in Syria are estimated to have killed more than 110,000 people and forced millions to flee to neighboring countries over the past 2.5 years. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
So Apple's new iPhones are selling like hotcakes, with sales topping expectations in the first weekend after its launch. Apple said Monday that it sold over 9 million of its iPhone 5S and 5C smartphones in the first 3 days on the market. The sales surpassed market expectations, which estimated sales at about 6.5 million, and compares with the 5 million iPhone 5 smartphones sold in the first weekend after its release last year. Apple's chief executive Timothy Cook said that the demand for the new iPhones has been incredible and that it was the best iPhone launch yet. Well, on the other hand, beleaguered Canadian smartphone maker BlackBerry has agreed to be acquired for $4.7 billion by a private equity consortium led by its largest shareholder, Fairfax Financial. BlackBerry says Fairfax has agreed to pay shareholders $9 per share, but agreed it will continue to explore other options until the deal is finalized. Reports of the takeover comes just a couple of days after BlackBerry announced it was slashing 4,500 jobs, over a third of its workforce. BlackBerry also said it lost nearly $1 billion in the second quarter after disappointing sales of its new handsets.
And now moving out of the tech realm, Korea is constantly striving to boost its tourist appeal, and it appears to be working on our neighbors in China, as new data shows a record number of Chinese tourists visited Korea over the last 3 months. The Korea Tourism Organization said Tuesday that roughly 640,000 Chinese nationals visited Korea last month, an increase of 78% compared to the same month last year. The KTA also said the number of visitors to Korea has remained in the upper 70% range from year to year, setting a new record for 3 consecutive months. Experts cited the peak holiday season and tourists wanting to avoid Japan because of fears of radiation exposure as possible reasons for the increase in Chinese visitors.
And moving into the sporting world, Korea's very own Chu Shin-soo of the Cincinnati Reds earned himself a spot in the Major League Baseball history books by becoming the first leadoff hitter in the National League to reach 20 home runs, 20 steals, 100 runs, and 100 walks all in one season. The 31-year-old stole 2 bases against the New York Mets on Tuesday, his 20th steal of the season. Now add that to more than 20 dingers he produced this season. Chu joins the prestigious 2020 club for the 3rd time in his MLB career. Chu last had 2020 in 2010 while playing for the Cleveland Indians. Earlier in the season, he already racked up 100 runs and 100 walks.
And now let's get a check on the weather forecast with our Michelle Park at the Weather Center. Michelle, we had rain all day today. Any idea how long it's going to last?
Hi, Daniel. As we are experiencing rain, we are going to experience throughout the whole tonight.
Right. So once this rain ends tonight, we can expect cooler temperatures. Am I correct?
That's right, Kenyan. And for some regions, it will actually be chilly. However, right now, the rain is mostly concentrated in the central regions, including Seoul. But into the night, the rain clouds will move down to the southern regions. And tomorrow, we can expect another heavy rain of 20 to 80 millimeters in the central regions and also in the North Gyeongsang province. And there's going to be a slight shower of 5 to 30 down in the southern province as well. And let's look at over here at the temperatures. Seoul will start off the morning at 18 and reach over to 24 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, the southern cities such as Gwangju and Busan will peak at 25. And down onto Jeju Island, we can expect rain tomorrow finally, and Dokdo and Mount Kumgang should be very chilly at 18 and 12. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. I'm Michelle Park, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for that, Michelle. And that's all from us for this hour. Thank you for watching. Do stay dry. This has been Daniel Chen.
And I'm Moon Ganyang. Thank you as always for being here with us. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you right back here same time tomorrow. Good night.